to give an update, a weekly end-of-week update, and I just want to sort of pretty much go through the events of what happened on Wednesday when we were doing our lawful process. And I encourage not only all the people that are following us and their supporting comments, but certainly the mainstream media, and not only national media but international media, making unbiased journalism. Actually, I was really unfortunately I wasn't paying attention. Well, I was getting a load of emails, and journalists were emailing me for a response, and I'm keen to give them a response, because this is very unprecedented, and and it's in the best interest not only of the public but of the nation, and I want to go through that. But I just wanted to say that obviously it's gaining a lot of momentum in the judiciary, the legal system around Australia. But I set out on the 11th. I was in Perth, and I was travelling down to Williams, and I have to say I was confronted by police officers right up the highway before I even got anywhere near the township of Williams. All up, including the guys up the highway, there was 54 police officers that were guarding every gate to the property, to my property, and that was just it. I've never seen that before, and the first observation I would have to point out is, why didn't the West Australian Police do that to us? Because we were on the land, and of course they didn't do that to us. They just took it on a general acceptance and a truism that this joker William Terence Kerr was actually a public officer, which has proven not to be. We've done that in the court. He ran for the hills when he was asked to prove his authority, but also they didn't look up Landgate to see who was the registered proprietor. So on the day back when they were claiming to do all this nonsense, we had a lawful excuse to protect our properties, and the West Australian Police removed that from us. But it's interesting how, just on this now, how 54 police officers can be called. And I want to show you this video because I couldn't live stream out where I was, but I could video, and I'll turn it around. But this is the police up the highway where I had to go into a private property to seek refuge, and you'll see what they were doing. They actually had me trapped down this road. So hang on, sorry, let's just turn this around. There you go. They had me, I had to turn in on the highway, and there they were. They had turned around and stopped, and they were following me. If I take you to the next video, you can see them. There you go. This is another car coming up. So there were two. So there you go, doing a U-turn, turning around, and I hope you can see that. But there they are. I was sort of standing down a driveway. They were certainly, to me, it's just intimidation. But there you have it. And I just thought that was a bit unfair, because they knew it was me, because my vehicle's registered in my name. But there you go, there's another one sitting up the road, and basically they followed us all the way into Williams to where there was a big roadblock, and as you can see on the live stream, yeah, a lot of police officers, and I don't know what that's cost the taxpayers money, but certainly there wouldn't have been any police on duty around the district, because take 54 police officers out of the district, you haven't got too many left, but that's not what we're there for. So what have we shown? Well, what we're showing is jurisdiction. And jurisdiction is now coming in under the rights that we do as Commonwealth nationals. We are certainly coming in under a different jurisdiction. We have our true Crown titles, which our names are on the Crown titles, and we're now coming in under Rural Action Movement. So Rural Action Movement is a corporation. So in order to deal with the West Australian Police, because they are also a corporation, we're doing like for like. So it's limited liability, may I say. So we're getting on the right footing, and we're now exercising our rights. We're no longer sitting on our rights. We now are exercising our rights under our own founding deed, because the founding deeds of this great, and that is what we're doing. So we have the evidence file here, and it was good with the journalists saying there's the evidence file, which I have now made an appointment with the sergeant conditionally. So I'm going in under RAM. So we're keeping it all in commerce, and we're keeping it under contract, because there appears to have been a contract on the table that they claim gave them a right to the assets of not only my first company, Elite Grains Proprietary Limited, but to all of my companies, which is definitely not the case. So what we have been able to do is present the real evidence to a grand jury, and that's unbiased. That's putting it into Crown jurisdiction, because this is under Crown property. Because the default judgment that the so-called bankers have been relying on have been obtained through leave of the court. So they've never been heard on the evidence, on the merits with evidence. Now, all the affidavits that the banks have put into the court to get the default judgment are erroneous, incorrect, and a total stuff-up. So we took the real evidence, which we've been able to do out of the Royal Commission and the Senate inquiries, to a grand jury, which is an assembly created under the executive power of the Commonwealth. There is no question about that. I've looked at it. Len Harris and I have ratified it as former federal senators. We're well versed over this law. This is law at the legislature level. We're not talking about the legal system down at the judiciary, because that's what these so-called parliamentarians, whether proper or not, have created this alternative jurisdiction, which I do not consent to. So I wear two caps. I sit in the private as a Commonwealth national, and I'm bound to the clause of the great nation, which is clause 5, and my true queen, clause 2 of that constitution. There's no question that is my deed. That gives me the beneficiary to this country. So there can be all laws are subject to it. So there's no question about that. So now we're going into the police officer conditionally. We don't have to contract. Well, I'm not contracting with him. Rural Action Movement's going in there, and he's showing the evidence and of what is why we say we can return home, and it is undisputable. It just cannot be knocked out. It's in the bag. So we actually have taken possession now of our properties, although the police officers were effectively on any main gate. I know that farm backwards, and you don't necessarily need to go through a gate to go onto a 3,000 acre property. So that, to me, it was a complete overkill. It didn't go anywhere. In actual fact, I thought it was a COVID-19 checkpoint when I first got up there, and simply they had blocked off a gazetted road, so they certainly hadn't done their homework, and we had a right. I mean, I put all that front entryway up. I know that, like I say, I know this property backwards. I've been there for 20 odd years. So so it is unprecedented. More farmers are going back onto their land, so you keep tuned. We're going back. Mr. Manalini is still in possession of his property, and everything there was nothing that was done lawfully at the time. So this just doesn't only affect farmers, but it also affects a lot of people in their houses. And we dodged a bullet. Well, not me, but when I was a senator in Parliament, I tried to get the receivers, the lawyers, all the agents acting for these banks to a Senate inquiry, and they were blocked. but because it wouldn't have been in the best interest of the public to show what was happening. And look, if I was to come out publicly and announce some of those submissions, you would be horrified on what these agents were doing. And I can relate to it because a police officer also is an agent. I think he must have been acting for the Fords. I don't know what power Graham Harding and the Fords have to take out the entire police force around the district, but I don't know, it just seems to be quite concerning. There was air wing in the air, there were drones, there was intelligence down the back, we couldn't see them, but there were drones being put up in the air. So it was a big event. You know, the cash flow of the local businesses went up, skyrocketed in the town that day because these police officers had to be fed and hydrated. So yeah, so it was a good day for the local businesses and in the town of Williams. So here's the evidence file that I'll be taking to the sergeant who has made a contract with me as Vice President of Rural Action Movement, and that is to come in and show him the evidence. And once he sees the evidence, they will not be attending the property again. They will be seen to be imposters. There is no question about that. We have the true Crown titles, our names are on it. The other titles are just a record of certificate of title. We're making an application now to the registry to correct the title based on the evidence, because they're claiming court orders out of the West Australian Supreme Court which have not been heard on the evidence, that they were satisfied that there could have been a transfer. There could never have been a transfer because the orders that they're relying on do not relate to that property. Is an entity that is not recognised by the Corporations Act of 2001, so it cannot sue or be sued. And the originating application through a statement of claim claimed that ANZ had a power of attorney to initiate proceedings on behalf of a trustee, but everyone knows a corporation can't act as a power of attorney. And even if the power of attorney was to be valid, it had no jurisdictional power in Western Australia. So this is what the Royal Commission found, this is what the Senate inquiries found, and all we're doing is going, if we can't get the authorities to act for us under their, you know, within their jurisdiction, I guess, whether I accept their jurisdiction or not, like I said, I can wear two caps, then we have to take the law in our own hands and exercise our rights, because the evidence is king. And none of them have been, they were given an opportunity to come and show where they say that they own the property. I've never sold it to them. And there is over $3.2 million of assets that have gone missing, so it's clearly a crime scene now. So that was never subject to any bill of sale or lien or pledge or whatever. It was all unencumbered, so that's all gone missing too. So, but he did make the point where he claimed that the Fords were receptive to me coming and getting my personal belongings, and but I said, well, that's a nonsense, because they claimed, which is in an affidavit, to bugger off. We've purchased the whole lot, walk in, walk out, as is, where is. You have no right to this property, and you have no right to these assets because we've purchased them. So that's in an affidavit. And that's what I said to the police officer. I said, that's just hearsay. You provide me a court order, because you can't be deemed to abandon something. You have to go to court for the court to make an order that it's been abandoned, otherwise that's just hearsay. So don't let them fool that one, and you have to have an affidavit. So yeah, keep watching. We're doing more lawful process. We're going under the common law sheriffs. They're there to keep the peace. They're there exercising their court order, and yeah, I'm behind them, because that's the law in this country. You know, Section 79 of. I'll come back with part 2 actually. I don't know what happened there, but we've cut off. Back on channel again. So look, we can sit with 3 justices and a jury, and what we're looking at doing now is going back to our courts that have all been boarded up at police stations around the country, or the countryside. So we're looking at opening up those courts again, because at the end of the day they are our courts. They are our courts. We'll get 3 justices of the peace to sit, and we're prepared to run a case in those little Crown courts within the jurisdiction under the laws of the Commonwealth. There is no question about that. So this is unprecedented, and look, there's a lot of people in the legal fraternity watching this. I did see that a law expert came out and said that the underpinning law to real property is common law. There is no question about that, but he said the issue is, and he did say he didn't say it was an issue, it may be an issue, so that means he's not totally on the money. It's contract law. Well, that might be right, but certainly common laws underpins contract law as well. So there is no question. So we're about bringing back the jurisdiction that needs to be brought back, and that's by attacking it at a legislature level. You've got to also remember, when a plaintiff goes to the court, the duty, it's incumbent on them to make sure that they file an application within the correct jurisdiction. So, so if they go to the West Australian Supreme Court, they have to make sure that that court is sitting in Crown jurisdiction under the executive authority right that goes right up through to our Constitution, our founding deeds. And we can honestly say that in the matters that they presented to us, the West Australian Supreme Court wasn't sitting pursuant to Section 16 of the Supreme Court Act of 1935. So again, that has no jurisdiction over our Crown land. So keep watching. It is unprecedented. We will get a lot of support out of this. We're getting a lot of chat. It's bringing it out in the open. But this is part of the way we can go back to our honest seat of government, get our honest Parliament back, our Commonwealth Parliament of Australia, get it out of administration and get it back within the jurisdiction so that the rights and freedoms of all of Australians can be upheld. And we should have no homeless people in this country, because the wealth that comes out of this country is ours. It is not the government, it is ours. We are the people, we are the Commonwealth nationals, and we are the beneficiaries to make sure that every Australian is well looked after through our founding deeds and our great asset known as Australia. God bless. Bye for now, and keep watching, because we're going on to another farm next week. Bye for now.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later gotta cut you down, sooner or later gotta cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down, tell him that God's gonna cut him down.